Let's move on to final part of the video. A phakic versus phakic refractive IOLs. In addition to aphakic IOLs, which are implanted after lens extraction, specific phakic IOLs have been developed to correct the refractive errors. These are also called implantable columnar lenses (ICLs). Special function IOLs: toric IOLs, aspheric IOLs, and iridia IOLs. Toric IOLs, these are designed to correct the associated astigmatism. This one. Aspheric IOL, they have been designed to reduce spherical aberrations. Aniridia, these are devised to cosmetically cover the defects of aniridia or partial iris loss in cases like trauma. There's a black diaphragm in these lenses around the central opacity. There's black diaphragm. Indication of IOL implantation. Recent trend is to implant an IOL in each and every case being operated for cataract unless it is contraindicated. Calculation of IOL power biometry. It is done by the formula SRK formula Sander-Retzlaff graph. PE equal to A minus 2.5L is 0.9K. A is constant. L is axial length of eyeball in mm, which is determined by A scan. K is average corneal curvature, which is determined by keratometry. Equivalent for biometry: A scan ultrasonic biometer. The ultrasound machine equipped with A scan IOL power calculation software is known as biometer. Optic biometers are non-contact optical devices based on solar partial coherence interferometry. These are quick and more accurate devices. Commercially available optical biometers are IOL Master TM, Zeiss Comparison System, Lenstar. Types of IOL based on focusing mechanism: unifocal, multifocal, commutative. Special function IOL: toric IOL, aniridia IOL. Black color. Covering iris gap. Primary versus secondary IOL implantation. While secondary IOL is implanted to correct aphakia in a previously operated eye. Surgical technique of anterior chamber IOL. Anterior chamber IOL implants can be carried out after ICCE after large posterior capsular lens with ECCE techniques. After completion of lens extraction, the pupil is constricted by injecting myotics 1% acetylcholine or pilocarpine without preservatives into anterior chamber. Anterior chamber is filled with 2% methyl cellulose or 1% sodium hyaluronate (Helon). The IOL held by a forceps gently slid into anterior chamber. Interior haptic is pushed in the inferior angle at 6 o'clock position and upper haptic is pushed to engage in upper angle. Technique of posterior chamber IOL implantation. Implantation of rigid intraocular lens. PCIOL is implanted after conventional ECCE, SICS, and after enlarging the incision in phacoemulsification. After completion of ECCE, the capsular bag and antechamber are filled with 2% methyl cellulose or 1% sodium hyaluronate. PCIOL is grasped by the optic with help of IOL holding forceps. Inferior haptic and optic of IOL gently inserted into capsular bag behind the iris at 6 o'clock position. The superior haptic is grasped by its tip and is gently pushed down and then raised to slide in the upper part of capsular bag behind the iris. Implantation of foldable IOLs is made either with help of holder forceps or foldable IOL injectors. Clear fixation of posterior chamber IOL is done as an alternative to anterior chamber IOL. Posterior chamber IOL can be fixated to sclera in the cilious sulcus region with the help of sutures or biological glue. Post-operative management after cataract operation. Patient is asked to lie quietly upon the back for about 2 to 3 hours and advised to take nil orally. Diclofenac sodium may be given for mild to moderate post-operative pain injection. Next morning, bandage or eye patch is removed and eye is inspected for any post-operative complication. Antibiotic eye drops are used for 4 times. Topical steroid prednisolone eye drops 3 to 4 times a day are used for 6 to 8 weeks. Topical ketorolac or any NSAIDs use drops. Topical timolol twice a day. Topical cyclic bleaching methylate homotropin eye drops may be used for OD for 10 to 14 days. Up to 6 to 8 weeks of operation, corneal clear sutures are removed. Nowadays, most surgeons are doing sutureless cataract surgery. Final spectacles are prescribed after 8 weeks of SICS operation, 3 to 4 weeks of phacoemulsification. Complication of cataract surgery and their management. Modern cataract surgery is being performed largely by extracapsular cataract extraction technique. Therefore, complications encountered during these techniques are described in general. Wherever necessary, a specific reference of the technique with conventional ECCE, manual SICS, phacoemulsification in relation to particular complication highlighted. Complications are preoperative complication, operative complication, early postoperative, delayed postoperative, IOL. Preoperative complication, anxiety. Some patients may develop anxiety on eve of operation due to fear and apprehension of operation. Anxiety drugs such as diazepam 2 to 5 mg at bedtime usually alleviate such symptoms. Nausea and gastritis. A few patients may develop nausea and gastritis due to preoperative medicine such as acetazolamide or glycerol. Oral antacid and omission of further dose of such medicines usually relieve the symptoms. Irritative or allergic conjunctivitis may occur in some patients. Postponing the operation for 2 days along with withdrawal of such drugs is required. Corneal aberration may develop due to inadvertent injury during short tonometry. Patching with antibody ointment for a day. Postponement of operation for 2 days is required. Complication due to local anesthesia. Retrobulbar hemorrhage may occur due to retrobulbar block. Immediate pressure bandage after instilling 1 drop of 2% pilocarpine and postponement of operation for a week is advised. Since presently most cases are done under peribulbar or topical anesthesia, so incidence of retrobulbar hemorrhage has decreased drastically. Oculocardiac reflex with manifest as bradycardia and or cardiac arrhythmia has also been observed due to retrobulbar peribulbar block. Perforation of globe may also occur sometimes. To prevent such catastrophe, gentle injection with blunt tip needle is recommended. Further, peribulbar anesthesia may be preferred over retrobulbar block. Peribulbar preferred over retrobulbar block. Subconjunctival hemorrhage is a minor complication observed frequently. Spontaneous dislocation of lens in vitreous has also been reported. Degenerated in patients with weak and degenerated granules, especially with hypermetric cataract, during vigorous ocular massage after retrobulbar block. The operation should be postponed and further management is on the lines of posterior dislocation of lens. Operative complications. Superior rectus muscle laceration and or hematoma may occur while applying the brittle suture in conventional ECCE SICS. Excessive bleeding during the preparation of congenital flap during incision into anterior chamber. Gentle cauterized. Incision related complications. It depends upon the type of cataract surgery being performed. In conventional ECE, there may occur irregular incision. Irregular incision leading to defective coaptation wound may occur due to blunt cutting instruments. In manual SICS and phacoemulsification, following complication may occur while making the self-sealing tunnel incision. Buttonholing of anterior wall of tunnel can occur because of superficial dissection of scleral flap. As a remedy, abandon this discussion and re-enter at a deeper plane from the other side of the external incision. Premature entry into anterior chamber can occur because of deep dissection. Once this is detected, dissection in that area should be stopped and a new dissection started at a lesser depth at other end of tunnel. Scleral insertion can occur due to very deep groove incision. In it, there occurs complete separation of inferior sclera from the sclera superior to incision. Configuration of sclerocorneal tunnel incision. A. Correct incision. B. Buttonholing of anterior wall of the tunnel. C. Premature entry into anterior chamber. D. Scleral disinsertion. Injury of the cornea, decimate, detachment, iris and lens may occur when anterior chamber is entered with sharp-tipped instruments such as keratome or piece of laser blade. Gentle handling with proper hypotony reduce the incidence of such inadvertent injuries. Iris injury, iododialysis may occur inadvertently during intraocular manipulation. Complication related to anterior capsulorhexis. Continuous curvilinear capsulorhexis is the preferred technique for opening the anterior capsule for SICS and phacoemulsification. Following complication may occur: escaping capsulorhexis, Capsular axis moves peripherally and may extend to equator or posterior capsule. Small capsular axis is predisposed to posterior capsular tear and nuclear drop during hydrodissection. It also predisposed to occurrence of jonular dehiscence. Therefore, a small sized capsular axis should always be enlarged by 2 or 3 relaxing incisions before proceeding further. Very large capsular axis may cause problems for in the back replacement of IOL. Eccentric capsular axis can lead to IOL disintegration at a later stage. Posterior capsular rupture. It is a dreaded complication during intraocular cataract extraction. In manual SICS and phacoemulsification, PCR is even more feared because it can lead to nuclear drop in vitreous. PCR can occur in the following situations: during forceful hydrodissection by direct injury with some instruments such as Sinskey hook, chopper or phaco tip, and during cortex aspiration. Jonular dehiscence may occur in all techniques of ECCE but is especially common during nucleus prolapse. Vitreous loss, it is more serious complication which may occur following an accidental rupture posterior capsule during any technique of ECCE. Therefore, adequate measures should be taken during ECG to decrease vitreous volume. Pre-operative use of hyperosmotic agent like 20% menthol or oral glycerol is suggested. To decrease aqueous volume, pre-operative acetazolamide 500 mg orally should be used. Adequate ocular massage should be carried out digitally after injecting local anesthesia. To decrease orbital volume, adequate ocular massage and orbital compression by use of super pinky Hohn's ball or 30 mm of Hg pressure by pediatric sphygmomanometer should be carried out. Better ocular akinesia and anesthesia decrease the chance of pressure from eye muscle. Minimizing external pressure on eyeball, not using eye speculum, reducing pull on bridle suture, and overall gentle handling during surgery. Use of Fleeringa ring to prevent collapse of sclera, especially in highly myopic patient, decrease the incidence of vitreous loss. When IOP is high, in spite of all above measures, operation cannot be postponed. In that situation, a planned posterior sclerotomy with drainage of vitreous from pars plana will prevent rupture of anterior hyaloid face and vitreous loss. Management of vitreous loss. Once the vitreous loss has occurred, the aim should be to clear it from the anterior chamber and incision side. This can be achieved by performing partial anterior vitrectomy with use of automated vitrectors. A meticulously performed partial anterior vitrectomy will reduce the incidence of post-operative problems. Nucleus drop into vitreous cavity occurs frequently with phacoemulsification, less frequently with manual SICS, and sparingly with conventional ECCE. It is a dreadful complication which occurs due to sudden and large PCR. Management. Only once the nucleus has dropped into vitreous cavity, no attempt should be made to fish it out. The case must be referred to vitrectomy surgeon, vitreoretinal surgeon, and posterior loss of lens fragment into vitreous cavity may occur after PCR or jonular dehiscence. During phacoemulsification, it is potentially serious, may result in glaucoma, chronic uveitis, chronic CME, and even retinal detachment. Management. Case should be managed by vitreoretinal surgeon by performing pars plana vitrectomy, removal of nuclear fragments, expulsive choroidal hemorrhage. It is one of the most dramatic serious complications of cataract surgery. It usually occurs in hypertensive and patients with arteriosclerotic changes. It may occur during operation or during immediate post-operative period. Its incidence is high in ICCE and conventional ECCE, but has decreased markedly with valvular incision of manual SICS phacoemulsification technique. It is characterized by spontaneous gapping of wound followed by expulsion of lens, vitreous, retina, uvea, finally a gush of bright red blood. Although treatment is unsatisfactory, the surgeon should attempt to drain subchoroidal blood by performing an equatorial sclerotomy. Early post-operative complication. Hypemia. Collection of blood in anterior chamber may occur in the conjunctival sclera. Treatment. Most hypemia absorb spontaneously, thus no treatment. Sometimes hypemia may large and associated with rise in IOP. In such cases, IOP should be lowered by acetazolamide and hyperosmotic agents. If the blood does not get absorbed in weeks time, then a paracentesis should be done to drain the blood. Iris prolapse. It is usually caused by inadequate suturing of the incision after ICCE and conventional ECCE and occurs during first or second post-operative day. This complication is not known with manual SICS. Management. A small prolapse of less than 24 hours duration may be reposted back and wound sutured. A large prolapse of long duration needs abscission and suturing of the wound. Straight keratopathy. Characterized by mild corneal edema with decimates fold is a common complication observed during immediate postoperative period. Management: mild straight keratopathy usually dissipates spontaneously within a week. Moderate to severe should be treated with hypertonic saline drops. Flat anterior chamber: it has become a relatively rare complication due to improved wound closure. It may occur due to wound leak, cilio-choroidal detachment, or pupil block. Flat anterior chamber with wound leak is associated with hypotony. It is diagnosed by Seidel test. In the test, a drop of fluorescein is instilled into lower fornix. And patient is asked to blink to spread the dye evenly. Then the incision is then examined with slit lamp using cobalt blue filter. At the site of leakage, fluorescein will be diluted by aqueous. In most cases, wound leak is cured within 4 days. If the condition persists, injection of air in the anterior chamber, resuturing of liquid wound should be carried out. Cilio-choroidal detachment: it may or may not associate with wound leakage. Detachment: cilio-choroid present as convex brownish mass in the involved quadrant with shallow anterior chamber. In most cases, choroidal detachment is cured within 4 days with pressure bandage and use of oral acetazolamide. Pupil blocks due to vitreous bulge after ICC or due to adhesion with IOL, more common with AC IOLs, lead to formation of iris bomb and shallowing of anterior chamber. Pupil block is managed initially with mydriatic and hyperosmotic drugs and acetazolamide. If not relieved, then laser or surgical peripheral hydrectomy should be performed. Postoperative anterior uveitis can be induced by instrumental trauma, undue handling of uveal tissue. Management includes more aggressive use of topical steroids, cycloplegic and NSAIDs. Toxic anterior segment syndrome. Bacterial endophthalmitis: this is one of the most treated complications, and it occurs in 0.2-0.5%. Symptoms and signs: bacterial endophthalmitis are generally present. Pain, ocular pain, diminished vision, lid edema, congenital chemosis, marked circumciliary congestion, corneal edema, exudates in pupillary area, hypopyon, etc. 48 to 78 hours. Late postoperative cystoid macular edema: collection of fluid in the form of cystic loculi in the Henle's layer. Henle's layer of macula is frequent complication of cataract. However, in most cases, it is clinically insignificant, does not produce any visual problem. Undergoes spontaneous regression. In few cases, a significant CME typically produces visual diminution 1 to 3 months after cataract. On fundoscopy, it gives honeycomb appearance and depicts typical flower petal pattern. Etiopathogen: in most cases, it is associated with vitreous incarceration in the wound and mild itis. Role of some prostaglandins is being widely considered in etiopathogenesis. Prevention: therefore, immediate preoperative and postoperative use of antiprostaglandins. Indomethacin, flurbiprazole, ketorolac eye drops is recommended. Treatment: antiprostaglandin steroids are mainstay of treatment. Delayed chronic postoperative endophthalmitis is caused within an organism of low virulence. Becomes trapped within capsular bag. It has an onset ranging from 4 weeks to years. Postoperative and typically follows an uneventful cataract extraction with PCIOL in the bag. Fungal endophthalmitis may occur rarely. Pseudophakic bullous keratopathy is usually condition of postoperative corneal edema produced by surgical or chemical insult to a healthier compromised corneal endothelium. PBK becoming a common indication of penetrating keratoplasty. Retinal detachment: incidence of retinal detachment is higher in aphakic patient as compared to phakics. It has been noted that retinal detachment is more common after ICGE than after ECCE and IOL implantation. Other risk factors for pseudophakic retinal detachment include vitreous loss during operation. Epithelial ingrowth: rarely conjunctival epithelial cells may invade the anterior chamber through defect in incision. The abnormal epithelial membrane slowly grows and lines back to the cornea and trabecular meshock, leading to intractable glaucoma. In the late stages, the epithelial membrane extends on iris and anterior part of vitreous. Fibrous downgrowth into anterior chamber may occur very rarely when cataract wound apposition is not perfect. It may cause secondary glaucoma. After cataract, residual opaque lens matter may persist as after cataract when it is imprisoned between remain of anterior and posterior capsule surrounded by fibrin following iritis or blood proliferate type of after cataract may develop from left out anterior epithelial cells in the capsular bag. The bands may sweep across the whole posterior capsule. Clinical types after cataract may present as thickened posterior capsular opacification or Soimmer's ring, which refers to thick ring or after cataract formed behind the iris enclosed between two layers of capsule, or Yeltsin's pearls in vac-clad subcapsular epithelial cells are clustered like soap bubbles. Treatment membrane after cataract and thickened posterior capsule are best treated with YAG laser, capsulotomy or dissection with cystitome and Ziegler's knife. Dense membrane after cataract needs surgical membranotomy. Soimmer's ring after cataract with clean central posterior capsule needs no treatment. Yeltsin's pearl involving central part of posterior capsule can be treated with YAG laser. IOL related complications like cystoid macular edema, corneal endothelial damage, uveitis and secondary glaucoma are seen more frequently with IOL implantation, especially with the anterior chamber iris supported by IOLs. UGS syndrome refers to concurrent occurrence of uveitis, glaucoma and hypema. It is used commonly with rigid anterior chamber IOLs, which are not used nowadays. Malposition of IOL, sunset syndrome, sunrise syndrome, lost lens syndrome, windshield wiper syndrome. It results when a very small IOL is placed vertically in the sulcus. Pupillary capture of IOL may occur following postoperative iritis or proliferation of remains of lens fibers. Toxic anterior segment syndrome. It is uveal inflammation excited by either ethylene gas used for sterilizing IOLs or by lens material. It is characterized by violent inflammation and need to be differentiated from endophthalmitis. Types of after cataract dense membranous Soimmer's ring, Yeltsin's pearls. Congenital displacement, simple ectopic lentis, et pupillae. Ectopic lentis with systemic anomalies. Marfan syndrome, it is autosomal dominant mesodermal dysplasia. Decentral IOL. Systemic anomalies, arachnodactyly. Homocysteine, it is an autosomal recessive inborn error of metabolism. Systemic features are fair complexion, malar flesh, mental retardation, fits and poor motor control. Diagnosis is established by detecting homocysteine in urine by sodium nitroprusside. Weil-Meshani syndrome. Ocular features, systemic features, ocular features, pyrophakia, subluxation of lens. Systemic features are short-sighted, stubby fingers. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hyperlysinemia, Stickler syndrome, sulfate oxide deficiency, traumatic displacement of lens. Usually associated with concussion injuries. Couching is an iatrogenic posterior dislocation of lens. Consecutive or spontaneous displacement results from intraocular disease, giving rise to mechanical stitching. A few common conditions associated with consecutive displacement are hypermetric cataract, ophthalmos, congenital glaucoma, high myopia, staphyloma, intraocular tumors. Topographical types: subluxated IOL, Marfan syndrome, spirophakia and forward subluxation of lens, Weil-Meshani syndrome. Subluxation, it is a partial displacement in which lens is moved sideways, up, down, medial, or lateral, but remains behind the pupil. It results from partial rupture or unequal stitching of the zonules. Clinical feature: defective vision, uniocular diplopia, result from partial aphakia. Anterior chamber becomes deep and irregular. Iridodenesis usually present. Edge of subluxation lens is dark crescent, plain or distant direct ophthalmoscopy, and as shining golden crescent on slit lamp examination. Retinoscopy reveals hypermetropy in aphakic area and myopia in phakic area. Fundus examination shows large optic disc through phakic area. Complications of subluxation include complete dislocation, cataractus changes, uveitis, secondary glaucoma. Management: spectacles or contact lens or to correct phakic or aphakic area. Surgery is controversial. Lensectomy with anterior vitrectomy may be performed in disparate cases. Dislocation or subluxation of lens. In it, all the zonules are severe from lens. A dislocated lens may be incarcerated into pupil or present in the anterior chamber. The vitreous, where it may be floating lens, Newtons, or fixed to retinal lens fixator, subretinal space, subscleral space, or extruded out of the globe. Clinical feature of posterior dislocation: deep anterior chamber, aphakia and pupillary area. Iridodenesis. Clinical feature of anterior dislocation or deep anterior chamber, presence of lens in anterior chamber. Clear lens look like an oil drop in the complications or uveitis and secondary glaucoma. Management: lens dislocated in anterior chamber and that incarcerated in the pupil should be removed as early as possible. Dislocated lens from vitreous cavity should be removed only if it causes uveitis or glaucoma. Subluxation, anterior dislocation, posterior dislocation. Colobome of lens. Congenital anomaly, lenticonus anterior, lenticonus posterior. It is seen as notch in lower quadrant of equator. It is usually unilateral and often hereditary. Congenital ectopia lentis. Lenticonus, it refers to cone-shaped elevation of anterior pole, lenticonus anterior and lenticonus posterior. Lenticonus anterior may be occurring in Alport syndrome, lenticonus posterior in Lewis syndrome. On distant direct ophthalmos, both present as oil globule lying in the center of the reflex. Congenital cataract, microspherophakia, lens spherical in shape and small in size. Microspherophakia may occur as an isolated familial condition or as feature of other syndrome, Weil-Marchani-Marfan syndrome.